Hey, what's up guys? I'm letting old Lola warm up here while I layer up my gloves. And today we're going to talk about winterizing your bike and cold weather riding. Alright guys, today we're going to talk about winterizing your bike and cold weather riding. It's January, we're still riding, no snow yet. I really don't want to jinx it by talking about it, but you can't complain about that. So I have two bikes. I have this Road Glide and I have a Sportster. I winterize the Sportster. I don't winterize the Road Glide because if I can ride in the winter, I do. The Sportster, basically what I do is I just make sure it has a full tank of gas. I'll throw a little stabilizer in it to make sure the gas doesn't gum up as it sits for a few months. I'll have it on a battery tender, tuck it away in the corner of the garage, throw a sheet over it, and that's how I winterize. The Road Glide here, I keep that ready in case I get a good day to ride. The reason I picked this bike to ride in the winter is obviously the full fairing. It blocks a lot of wind, and I have these, I don't know if you can see these canvas blowers on the crash bars down there. They're made by Harley. They keep a lot of heat from the engine in towards your legs. They block the wind really well. Also, if you're in the rain, they'll keep the rain off your legs. So that's why I choose to use this as my winter bike. The only time I will think about putting some stabilizer in this tank and winterizing this is if we get a decent amount of snow where it looks like I'm going to be out of commission for a month or two. Then I'll do the same thing with this. I mean, this is always on a battery tender when I don't use it. I always keep my bikes on battery tenders, even if they're only going to sit for a week. I think it prolongs the life of the battery. I think it helps. If it looks like we're going to get some snow and I'm not going to be able to ride at all, then I'll winterize this one as well. But if not, she's always ready to go. The only thing that stops me from riding in the winter, obviously, is snow, ice, or rock salt on the road. When that happens, I'll shut it down and wait for the snow and ice to melt and wait till we get a nice heavy rain to wash the rock salt away. I'll probably ride down to about 35 degrees nowadays. That's usually my cutoff point. After that, it's really not comfortable for me anymore. And also then I start worrying about some of the puddles on the road freezing up. Even when it's dry around here, we've gotten so much rain lately. It seems like we got the weather from the Pacific Northwest now in New Jersey, that there's always puddles on the road. So you always have to worry about that freezing up. So I use 35 degrees as my cutoff point. The other thing about that is you want to be comfortable when you ride. I mean, if it's too cold and you start feeling like you're getting stiff and uncomfortable, that just slows down your reaction time, and then it kind of becomes a safety thing. I want to be comfortable. I want to be able to move around and enjoy the ride. I don't want to be sitting here shivering and paying attention to that more than I'm paying attention to the road. Now I'll give you a breakdown of what I wear for winter riding. Now, I don't go with heated gear. I don't have it for a few reasons. One is it's expensive. And, you know, motorcycles, they are an expensive hobby, so I'd like to try and cut costs where I can. The other thing is, with the amount of snow we get around here, you never know when a snowstorm is going to shut down my riding season during the winter for good. So I can't justify spending hundreds of dollars for heated gear when I'm not guaranteed to ride all winter. I'm sure it's great. I can't give my opinions on it. I've never tried it. I don't know how I would personally feel being wired into the bike. That to me might be uncomfortable, but again, I can't give an honest opinion on that because I've never tried it. Maybe one day I will. Maybe I will invest in heated gloves one day or something like that. I know a buddy of mine just got heated gloves that run off battery packs, so I'm waiting to see how he likes those. So maybe I will try that one day. Right now I don't. Right now all I do is I layer up, and it works well for me. And I'll give you a breakdown of how I layer up for a cold day on the road. Alright, we'll start with the feet. I wear a heavy pair of wool socks. If it's real cold and you want, you could double up on the socks. One pair works for me because I have these insulated Red Wing work boots. I've had these for a few years now. They work really well in the winter. And they're somewhat waterproof to an extent. They're a little more waterproof when I first got them than they are now. But they've been a good pair of boots and they've held up pretty well. Then my base layer. I have long underwear from a company called Uniqlo. That's Uniqlo. I'll throw a link in the description if I could find one. It's similar to an Under Armour material, but considerably cheaper. I think I got the whole set, top and bottoms, for about 40 bucks. Now, I can't compare them to Under Armour because I've never owned Under Armour. I can't say if they work as well, but all I know is they've worked well for me. I've had them for a few years and they're a good bang for the buck. The shirt has a turtleneck. It stays snug on your neck pretty good. That's always important because if you have something on with a loose neck, you're going to get cold air down your shirt, and I don't care how many layers you have on, you're going to freeze. Then over that, I have these jeans. They're fleece lined. They're made by Carhartt. I've also had these a few years. They've held up pretty well. Then if it's really cold, I also have these freezer pants made by Refrigerwear that I could put on over the jeans to give me another barrier from the cold, but I really haven't worn them. I mean, I would probably need them if it was in the low 30s, and like I said, I try and stay away from riding when it's in the low 30s, but if I did, if I wanted to, or if I had to, I could always put them on over my jeans. Some people use chaps. I had a pair of chaps years ago. I just never felt comfortable. I never got them to fit right. Really not my style, but you know, to each his own. If you like them and if they work for you, that's another option you could go with. Up top, my next layer would be I wear a long sleeve t-shirt over that Uniqlo shirt. Then over that, I have a fleece on. Nothing fancy, it's just a fleece that I got from the company I worked for a few years ago. That just gives me yet another barrier. It has a high neck that zippers up, so that's more neck protection over the turtleneck. And then on top of that, I have a vest, and then I have my leather jacket. And with that today, when I left my house, it was about 39 degrees, and I went down the highway, and I was pretty comfortable. Now, for the part that gets the most cold on, for me at least, are the hands. And I've struggled for years to find a decent pair of gloves. That's why I said if I ever did go with heated gear, the first thing I probably would buy, and the only thing I probably would buy, would be gloves. What I do lately, which has been working for me, I put on a pair of glove liners. They're liners that came with a pair of Harley gloves I had years ago. That I didn't like the gloves, but the glove liners worked. I'll put them on, and then I wear these. They're called, I believe they're called Glacier gloves. They're actually a diver's glove. I got them at an outdoor store a few years ago. They worked really well in the rain too, but between the liners and these gloves, I'm good in the 30s. They keep my hands pretty warm. Another trick that I do sometimes if it's really cold, you get those hand warmer packets. You could buy them at a gas station. I think I picked mine up on Amazon. And I'll put a packet in each glove between the liner and the glove on the top of my hand, and that'll give your hands some warmth. They stay warm for a few hours, and that just gives you a little extra warmth. It's a little trick. It's cheap and it helps. Another thing I do to keep my hands warm is I utilize the heat from the engine. If you're stopped at a light, you can always put your hands down by the engine here and let the heat generate onto your hands, warm you up a little bit. Also, if you're going down the road, if your hand starts getting numb, if you can't stop, stick it down there, get some heat from the engine. This bike's very convenient. If I'm going down a highway and my hands start to get cold, I can just flip the cruise control on. I can alternate. I can put the left hand down for a while, then put the right hand down for a while to keep them warm. It's very important to not let your hands get numb. I mean, besides the obvious hypothermia, that's what you're controlling the bike with. You want to be able to use that clutch. You want to be able to use the brake and the throttle. You want to be able to stay safe, enjoy the ride, and stay warm at the same time. Back when I used to wear a half helmet, I used to have the hood you put over your head. It fits tight, covers your ears. You can pull it up over your mouth. But now with the full face, I don't seem to need that anymore, but that's always something you can wear if you wear a half helmet. Another thing I try to do during cold weather riding is I try to avoid the highways as much as I can. I try and stay on the back roads. This way I can keep my speed down to like in the 40s or the 50s. Obviously, the faster you go, the colder it's going to feel. If it's a 40-degree day and you're out on the highway, it might actually feel like it's 20 on the bike. Also, a little cold weather safety tip is, when you live in a part of the country like here where we can't ride all year, or a lot of us don't ride all year, I like to try and be extra careful because let's face it, the cars never look out for us anyway, even in the dead of summer. But this time of year, they don't expect to see a lot of bikes out. So I think they even pay less attention. So I always try to be a little more careful, a little more aware of my surroundings. Just want to keep an extra set of eyes out. Well, that's all the tips I got on winterizing your bike and cold weather riding. So leave me a comment down below. Let me know, do you winterize or do you ride all year? If you do ride all year, what kind of gear do you use? Do you use the heated gear? Or do you just layer up on the cheap like I do? Don't forget to hit the like button, and if you have not yet, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Keep your head on a swivel out there. Later.